Alright, so this is a mental exercise that you can do anytime. This is a very good mental exercise. So what I want to do is plop out two shapes. A box and a ball. And now I want to box model this shape. Well, let's start out with a cube. And what do we have at the bottom? Well, we have a box. Okay? And if I wanted to have a ball, I would have to have another cube at the very top to turn it into a ball. Alright. So, what I would do here is this. Hit tab. Now there's a many way to do this. This is just my way of doing it, and I'll tell you what, it allows me to be able to model without thinking. So, Control R. Let's think about bracing the outside edge for a second. And I'll show you the difference here in 3D print land. Okay, so right now we're still on the basics, the core. We haven't explored Booleans so much yet. And there's a good reason for that. A lot of times students don't get taught the core. So now what I have is a brace cube, and where I put these dictate how close or how crisp the edges are going to be. So if I go to subdivide this out, I have this, which is a nice form. If I want tighter, I could just put those edges closer. But now how do I get to a ball? Well, take the top cube, hit Control E, and let's shrink that down. Control E, R, make this bigger. Control E. And right now, let's test that out. Let's tab. Oh, it's close. It's like an alien head stuck to a box. Pretty sweet. So, wouldn't the transition be more like this? Okay, now we have a box and a ball. And as I subdivide this out, the ball becomes more round, to the point where I have a ridiculous amount of polygons. Now, don't concentrate on that too much, a ridiculous amount of polygons. Again, this is just to show you the transitions between forms, and as you subdivide, you get the topology that goes around the object. But later on, if you ever wanted to get rid of geometry, it's very easy to reduce this stuff down. I'll give you an example of that. If I hit apply on this, I have all these faces that I don't need. Well, hit tab to go to edit mode, and hold Alt and Shift and highlight all these edges. Now the edges on the cube can be destroyed. The edges up here cannot be destroyed because they are the makeup of the ball. Oops. I had some highlighted edges up there. So all these faces in here, all they're doing is really a whole lot of nothing. And I can go in here and to Tools. We learn a new command called Dissolve Edges. Now when you dissolve edges, you have to dissolve the vertices also. So make sure you click this. And there we go. Now we have our basic shape, and it stays true. And as I monkey around with those edges up here, when I first subdivided it, you would say that it would become more true to be a ball. You could play around with it to become almost perfect. Now, let's look at something. It's called a Boolean. Okay? So if I take a cube and I take a junky old UV sphere, and put the two together, and the sphere is called sphere 1, and this one is called cube. Now go into Boolean and go union, and then choose the sphere and hit apply. Okay, now delete the extra ball, and let's go into this, and let's go to its wireframe. Okay, what's the difference? The only difference is this one right here. I would never be able to, this would be a great shape for 3D Printland. This would be a great shape for 3D Printland. If I wanted to put anything else on this object, I could still potentially put some stuff on this object. It would never subdivide, but sometimes that's not important. You can see what that turns out to be, where this one always kind of stays true to its original shelf. Oops. Well, this is very useful information to know. What I showed you, Boolean, comes into play as we make inorganic forms. But anytime you cross the line between inorganics and organics, and you want it to flow nicely from form to form, Boolean is an awful way to go. If I'm just 3D modeling something like a hinge, or anything for that matter, just for 3D Printland, I don't care about topology though. So practice this method, the method of popping out some forms and then trying to make the form transition, and you'll be able to model anything. Knowing Boolean, you'll model some stuff, and it'll look halfway decent, but you'll never get to the next step if you do that. Alright, see you in the next video.